you for joining episode 2 of Winning the Moment. Today, I have Kaden Terry with me, and you're going to want to listen to the entire episode because he's going to define what success is at the end, and it is going to blow you away, and you're never going to believe it, but he has had 4 heart surgeries and is only at the beginning stages of his life. I hope you enjoy the episode, and make sure you listen till the end. Seattle Mariners jersey? Are you a Ken Griffey Jr. fan?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Oh,
so
man.
the reason why I'm wearing it is because I just got back from my mission serving in Seattle. So
you went to I love Seattle.
Yeah, so I served there and went to a Mariners game and got this there. So it was a little souvenir brought home.
Growing up, I loved baseball.
Yeah.
I still think it's a great sport, and I love to watch it in person. And I was never very good at it, so it's like I kind of lost that passion of baseball. But Ken Griffey Jr. was like, he was the guy.
Mm-hmm.
I have all the Ken Griffey Jr. cards. I had the shoes. Like I feel like he was the biggest star ever in baseball from like a branding standpoint. So
legit.
how long have you been back from your mission?
So I've been back let's think, December is when I got back. So a couple months now.
Wow. How was it?
Yeah, dude, it was amazing.
Yeah.
So amazing. I learned so many skills, just life skills.
Oh, man. I always say like it's really interesting because I didn't grow up in Utah.
Yeah.
And so moving here and just understanding the culture and meeting all these friends who have done it. And like now I've got these friends because, you know, I'm in my mid-age 30s. So I've got these guys who've gone on missions and now have these really successful companies leveraging the skill set.
Dude, it's crazy.
Of their mission, right? Because they're door-to-door, pest control, satellite, whatever, security systems. Because like once you build that mental fortitude, like so for 2 years you went
just grinding,
knocking doors, hustling every day, selling something very difficult, knowing you're going to get a lot of no's and building that like mental strength to get a no and keep going.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, totally. That's what I learned. I mean, some of the skills just off the top of my head, it's planning every day. We would plan our day. Once a week, we would plan our whole week. And so I do that now, or even knocking doors, talking to people face to face, getting out of my comfort zone. Like you said, you have a lot of friends that do pest control now from missions. Like, it's funny because now I do that with garbage can cleaning, with the bin blaster stuff that we'll talk about. We have a whole team door to door because I'm comfortable doing that. But it
and
was
most people who
experience.
don't have that background fail because it's so hard.
It's so tough.
You know what I mean? But you didn't have the luxury of like, I guess you could have quit, but you're not going to, right? You have this bigger purpose. So of course you're going to stay strong to your commitment. So then now you've built that mental fortitude to be able to do it, where I feel like people who haven't gone on a mission, I don't feel like they're as successful in that industry because it's so challenging that they're more willing to give up because they don't have that mental fortitude built up.
Yeah, totally. Because like I felt like at times when I was on my mission that I was getting left out in business because my dad and my brother were here doing all these things, and some of my friends that stayed home, you know, they were just crushing it. But now that I'm back, I see the skills that I learned, and that it's just going to put me so much farther ahead because I took that time.
Absolutely.
The lessons I learned, man, like it's life-changing.
You took the time to work on you.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people get the luxury of even doing that, you know? So that's going to pay dividends for you. How were you able to keep up on what they were doing? Do you have access to that now on missions? I don't know much about it.
Yeah, so like all the missionaries back in Seattle,
like are you able to be on social media, or like, because before, like back in the day when my friends were going, it was like one phone call a year, I think, and letters. And so how was that different for you?
Yeah, so for me, we could call home once a week, which is nice. I could talk with my family. But part of the work, I mean, we're knocking doors a little bit, but most of the time it was a lot of social media. It's like on Facebook, we just message people.
No way.
We go into Facebook groups, and so once again, I've used those skills of finding people that are needing Jesus Christ. Yeah. And now I do that for garbage can cleaning. Dude, I literally just joined hundreds of groups and messaged people about clean cans and all this stuff. So it just applies, dude. It's fun.
Wow. That's amazing. Let's talk about that for a minute. So talk about your bin blasters. I saw that on your Instagram. Tell me that story.
Yeah. So about 6 months ago, I was on my mission, and my brother, Kyler, you have to talk to him. He's a senior in high school, total hustler.
I know. I heard that on the Solid podcast. I was like, and I remember actually, because Justin Prince did like an Instagram at his hangar, and I think your brother rolled up in his car and they were going somewhere. Yeah. And so then I connected the dots, like, oh, that's who that is. Yeah, I'd love to have him on.
Yeah. He's super tight with Justin, total stud. But anyways, Kyler and my dad and I started Bin Blasters. We bought a franchise rights for St. George. So what it is, it's a garbage can cleaning business. We have like a mini dump truck that pulls up to your house. We'll have to show you guys a video.
I pay someone to do that at my house.
No way.
So if it's not you, then I'll switch it.
Yeah,
but
dude, totally.
Someone came, knocked on my door, and we have dogs. So like when you're putting like dog poop in your trash can in the summer in St. George, it's disgusting.
Dude, you don't want to go near it.
So it's like trash is already bad. Dog feces is worse. And so it's like, so we pay for that service to someone. I don't know
It's
who
probably
it is.
me because we have a door-to-door team.
It probably is you.
Cool.
Yeah, some kids came to our door, knocked on it. My wife's the easiest sell in the world. Like she keeps marketers and like she keeps their jobs because she'll buy anything from anyone.
Dude, that's
but that's a service that I was like, absolutely, this is great. Like sign me up for it.
Because it's cool because we don't just get like a pressure washer and just spray it out and let it dump all over the ground. Like we have a legit truck.
Yeah.
A $60,000 truck that lifts, it grabs onto the cans, lifts them upside down, sprays them out with 200-degree water. And then we pressure wash the bottom and all the water collects onto our truck. Then we haul it off and we spray it with a lavender air freshener afterwards that it smells nice and clean.
Man, okay, now I'm really curious. I'm going to make a note for myself to check with my wife, but I bet you it's you. I don't know. Does anyone else in St. George do it?
There's one or two other companies, but they're not as big. So.
And ours, I know, is on that truck thing. A truck comes and does it.
It's definitely me.
How funny.
Dude, that's crazy.
Isn't the world hilarious? Here we are. I'm one of your customers who would have never known. That's great. That's so cool. So let's talk about your backstory as a whole. So obviously, how old are you?
20.
Yeah, super young, but doing a bunch of things, which is amazing. And that's how I was too. Like I wanted to grow up like so fast, you know? I was ready to just hit the ground running. As soon as I got out of high school, I wanted business when I was a little kid. When I was in second grade, I created a little gift shop in my basement called the All Night Midnight Bar. Super weird name for a second grader to come up with, but that's what it was. And I'd like sell all my old toys to my friends. I'd make them sandwiches. I'd sell them sodas. Like I just always had that entrepreneurial spirit. And listening to the podcast you did with the Solid Guys, it sounds like you and your brother are kind of the same way. So for the audience here, let's talk about your backstory a little bit.
Yeah. So I'm from St. George, Utah. Grew up here, born and raised. I'm the same exact way, man. I love hearing that you're hustling at a young age.
Always.
I think the first memory I have was I was in school for some reason. If we did something good, they give us like this Monopoly money, and you would collect it over time for doing your homework. And
that's a cool concept.
Yeah. And then like once a quarter, they'd have a school store to where everyone in the whole school, they go into the gym and you set up your own store if you want, and you can go buy other products from kids.
Oh, that's cool.
And so what I did, dude, my dad's been a huge influence on me on business. He's the one that's got me into it. So I remember fourth grade, he kind of helped me out and taught me, he was like, hey, let's get you marketing this and get it big. And so I kind of caught on, and I dressed up in this like big green suit, went to school and had this legit set up a big popcorn machine. Dude, I was the #1 store.
That's amazing.
But it's funny because I started making so much money that one day that I took the cash and started buying other kids' stores and just created a monopoly. Just that one day.
Oh my gosh,
so
that's
funny.
amazing.
So that's
I
kind
love
of
that.
the start. Like it's hilarious. And then I started doing like
that's such a good story.
Like playing Little League baseball. Same with you, dude. I played baseball growing up.
Yeah.
Played in high school. Little League, I was about 12 years old, and I saw that all these kids were wearing these little necklaces, and it was like a total fad. And I was like, dude, I should.
Like the puka shell necklaces, or like what are we talking?
No, they're like that. It's like different colors, and they're weaved in and out.
Okay.
Wear them around your neck. It's super big in baseball. It was.
Okay.
So you get like the team's colors, but I found that you can order them cheap from China.
Of course.
Super cheap, and sell them like for a crazy amount. So I'd do that. I'd set it up at the Little League, give them a little commission, and sell. Did that, when I was 12.
So you were leveraging already. You were leveraging like staff.
Dude, yeah. Yeah. Well,
interesting.
Well, right. I didn't have anyone working with me. It was just me and my brother.
Okay.
But with the Little League, in order to do it, we had to give them a cut.
Oh, you just had, that was like your rent.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Just set it up in the middle of the baseball field. So I did that, and then just kept on doing little things, hustling. When I was 14 with my brother Kyler, I started Sublime Mobile Detailing.
Okay.
And the problem was we were mobile, but none of us could drive.
Yeah, right.
Right? Because we had this vision like, okay, dude, we're going to set up the trailer. We're going to have this legit setup, and then we'll just hire someone to go around. To
be like the driver, yeah.
But we're like, it's, I don't know, it might be a lot of management. We're still in school.
Don't want to cut into your profit.
Yeah. Because we're making pretty good money, dude, at that age, detailing these cars. But then we got into buying and selling cars. And we saw, dude, like there's more money in this.
Yeah.
And so what we did, we kind of built up our capital, and we sold the mobile detailing business to a student at Dixie State here in town.
Remind me, how old are you at this time?
So I started it when I was 14, and then we sold it when I was like 15.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, around then. So we sold that company, which was so fun, just figuring it out. Like we literally just, I call it the University of YouTube, man. We just pulled up these videos, figured out how to do it, how to detail these cars, and slowly got better equipment.
Yeah,
as we
that's
went.
awesome. I
Yeah.
love that. Ingenuity. It's amazing what's on YouTube. Like everything is there.
Anything.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty incredible.
Like I've learned most of everything with business just on YouTube or podcast or courses that I bought online.
Yeah, all the information's out there. If
Yeah.
you're willing to figure it out, anyone can do anything. If you put in the time and you're committed to learning whatever it is you need to learn for the task, you can do it.
Oh, absolutely. It's
Okay,
there.
so you sold that business. You're like 15, sold that, and then now you're like, okay, we're gonna buy and sell cars.
Yep. Exactly.
I did that in high school too.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I did.
Cool.
I don't think I did it as successfully as you guys did, but we definitely did it.
Yeah. That's awesome. How'd you get into that? It's just,
A friend of mine at the time, like he was just into it. He just loved it. And so we would buy like not these very great cars like Acuras or things like that, you know, put rims on it, clean them up, and then or even like sometimes we put body kits on them. And that was when Mako existed. Mako was like the really cheap car painting place. Like you could repaint a car for like $400. And so you'd get these cars that didn't look very good, throw them through Mako, and then they looked like significantly better for a very small investment. And so we did that a lot in high school.
that's legit.
Yeah.
So that's similar to me. Like I knew some car dealerships from the detailing stuff we were doing.
Okay.
And a lot of them had these old trade-ins that they didn't want. And so a lot of them had salvage titles or they just didn't want them on the lot. They were old and crappy.
Sure.
And so we'd buy them, clean them. We'd use our detailing equipment to clean them super nice.
Okay.
Personally, I'm not good with cars, like fixing them mechanically. Like
Yeah, me
it's
neither.
Not my cup of tea.
Me
one
neither.
bit.
I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, me neither. And so I just take it to my mechanic and he would take care of it. And as long as the numbers added up right, we could clear a decent profit. And so I've done that all through high school and up until now. I think I've flipped over 35 cars.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. So you have any desire to have like a dealer's license and like have like a real thing?
Yeah, so that's how I got into it because at first I was just doing a couple a year.
Yeah.
Not too many, but then my dad got his dealer's license. It's actually a dealership here in town, Statewide Auto Sales.
Okay, where's that one at?
So it's on Dixie Downs Road.
Okay.
Here
Yeah,
close. So yeah, like he was doing that and he just let me use his license at that point.
So you could access the auction and stuff.
Online. And so it's funny how I got into it, my brother and I, because we were just at first buying cars from dealerships.
Yeah.
We knew if they were kind of a good buyer or not because you could physically see them and talk to the dealership.
Right.
Right. But then
And check the Kelly Blue Book values
Yeah.
and what your profit could be and all
everything.
that good stuff.
And you
yeah.
could project it and do
Yeah.
decent.
Yeah.
Right. But we got into this auction stuff, man. And we were just so pumped. Like, holy cow, we're going to get these cars for cheap. We're going to make really good money. So I remember the very first car we buy, it was a truck. And I see, because it's all online, and I pull up the website, and it's this '05 Tundra. And I'm like, dude, we got to get this. This is cheap. It's like $4,000.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay, let's buy it. And so we bought it.
Was this the Vegas auction?
Yeah, it actually was.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. It might have been California, San Diego. Yeah.
Okay.
Because we flew, so we bought it, and then we flew down to pick it up. And it's kind of sketchy because yeah, like they do tell you everything about the car, but at that point, we didn't know anything about that. We didn't know
Yeah.
what to look for, what to avoid.
Sure, this is your first time buying a car at the auction.
Yeah, and we're just fired up about
Yeah.
it, man. And so we go to pick it up, and it won't even start.
Oh no.
And it's just a total piece of crap. So long story short, we fly all the way there, and we can't even get it to start. We bring the mechanic there. He can't figure it out. So we had to fly back home.
Wow, I wouldn't think the auction would even let a car sell that wouldn't start. That's shocking.
Yeah, the thing is, like, they let us know, but we didn't see it in the fine print or in the details of the
Okay,
car.
so you just didn't do your appropriate due diligence
Yeah.
because you didn't know. You don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
Got it.
And so that's what's crazy. We ended up having that truck, that flipping truck. It makes me cringe every time I see a Tundra now because of it. I flipping hate Tundras now. And so what happened was we had it for over a year and it just kept on having so many problems. Like I remember driving one day and it just stopped in the middle of an intersection.
Oh my
And I had
gosh.
to get out and push it, and these random people were helping me. I took it through the car wash for the first time, and water was flooding in.
No.
Like it was bad.
Just a
And
beater.
my friend reminded me of this yesterday. He's like, bro, remember when we went out hunting in your Tundra, and you had to put your phone up on the dash and use a speedometer app on your phone because the speedometer didn't even work.
That's amazing.
So I forgot to tell the guys at the Solid Podcast about that. Like
Yeah,
it's just
that's
a total piece
great.
of junk, but that's where we started. And we held on to it, trying to sell it for a year. Finally sold it and ended up losing like thousands of dollars on it, man. Like it was just totally
Total
upside
loss.
down.
Isn't it interesting though
Yeah.
that like that thing that was so terrible in the moment, there's really a bunch of learning and opportunity that
So
comes from
much,
that.
dude.
Because let's just say the truck was great and you buy that $4,000 truck. It's awesome. It runs good. You sell it, you make money, and then you would have not learned any of that stuff, right? And so you were able to learn on a $4,000 truck. You don't want to learn that same lesson on a $40,000 truck. You know what I mean? So even though it was like, God, this sucks, realistically, that was probably such a great thing for you guys to learn that at that stage before you got into like the exotic cars and stuff.
Exactly. Because I found out exactly what we want to buy and what we want to avoid. Specifically, like, okay, does it have frame damage? Okay, is it a clean title? All these different things that I look for in these cars, I had to learn the hard way, just doing it.
Yeah, but that's the best way to learn.
Yeah, it costs some money, but
through trial and error.
Now I know.
And really, it's a cheap education. If you think about it, you know what I mean? Like however much you lost on that Trunda, it was cheaper than other forms of education, you know, and you probably got more out of it. My, that same friend who I did the cars with, he ended up getting into car dealerships. And so we used to go to the auction because they would buy the cars. And so we'd go down and pit. And this is like when we were like just graduated high school, they'd give us like $100 to drive them back, you know? And so we loved it because at the auction, like all the keys are just in the cars.
I know,
and this was
it's
like,
crazy.
this is before the new one. So the new one that's like right when you get into Vegas. The older one was further deep into Vegas. And I think it wasn't ran quite as well. And so we were just young punk kids. And so like we'd jump into Porsches and be ripping them around like the parking lot. And it was and like racing back to St. George. It was so fun.
I do the same thing with my friends too. It's so much fun because I'll buy these cars and I'll pay 2 or 3 of them to fly down to like San Diego or Phoenix or Vegas with me and just drive them back. And it's just a little trip with the boys.
That's awesome. So are you still actively doing that then?
Yeah. So not as much because I'm focusing a lot on bin blasters. What I do now is just flip whatever I'm driving. So when I got home from my mission, I bought a 21 Tacoma. Absolutely loved it. Yeah. I just sold it. And now
you're just always going to be selling whatever you're driving.
Yeah, exactly. Doing 1 or 2 at a time.
That's awesome. So what auction do you go to the most?
Mannheim. Yeah. Okay. So Mannheim is the biggest one in the West Coast. So that's where I buy most of my cars.
What are you driving now?
It's Sentra. A little 2014 Nissan Sentra. Because I found that like these more expensive cars, you put more money up.
Yeah.
But the margins are about the same. But this like, little Sentra, like I can buy it for $6,000 and sell it for nine or 10.
That's awesome.
Make the same amount that I would on.
Yeah, with way less risk, more capital. Yeah. When my wife, we've been together for like 17 years. Our 12-year anniversary is this Sunday, and when I loved cars, and so like the first car that she got, like while we were dating, I got her to get an Audi from my friend. You know, we're like, this is sweet, like what a great car. But of course, you know, when you get an exotic car for a low price, there's a reason. So I had all these problems and stuff, you know, and so she ended up trading that in on a Sentra. And like going upside down, but the Sentra was like the greatest car we ever had. It lasted forever. It worked great. It's like, you're totally right. That's the sweet spot where you want to be.
Yeah, totally. Around $10,000 people can buy them.
So how, like as soon as you get it, do you put it for sale right away?
Yeah, as quick as I can. Like I take it to my mechanic and I have them do like a certification saying that it's like, it's good. It's because I don't want to screw
You don't want to sell
off,
someone a car that's not good. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like I take pride in my name and the dealership's name. And so I do all that I can to present it to the customer in a positive way.
That's awesome. So you talk about your dad now. He helped you with a lot of this stuff and he has a dealer's license. So is that what his business background is car dealerships, or like what's his background?
He's done a lot with business. I mean, he started with real estate. Absolutely killed it.
All here in St. George, born and raised? Okay.
Yeah, just killing it with real estate. And then lost it all in 2008, man, and just went bankrupt. And now he's just climbing back and he's killing it now. So he does quite a few things. Like,
was he in residential or commercial real estate?
Residential.
Okay, so 2008 just crushed him.
Did like a Pareto Homes, like one of the biggest Pareto Homes here.
Yeah.
And so he got out of that, and since then currently he has a repoing company, DNS Towing.
Okay.
And then he has the car dealership, Statewide Auto. All kinds of stuff, man. He just is hustling.
So he's just in it all. And that's where you and your brother kind of get that entrepreneurial spirit from.
Oh, totally. Yeah. So he's been able to take the time to mentor us and really help us get going.
It's so important to have a mentor like that, you know, someone that can show you the ropes. What is your brother going to go on a mission?
Yeah.
He is.
So it's cool right now because I remember when I left, like I was at a weird transition point because I was in my senior year, going to leave in 6 months, playing baseball at Desert Hills. And I didn't quite know like how to slowly transition out of business. So I just stopped flipping cars because you just leave it all, right? You just sacrifice everything that you're doing.
Put your life on pause.
Yeah, to go serve Christ. And so Kyler is in that same point right now. And so the plan is that he got bin blasters going a little bit while I was on my mission.
Okay.
And now I'm back working with him.
So do you guys own that together then?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And then when he leaves, I'll take it over and blow it up for when he gets home, and we just keep going.
So you'll just build it for him while he's gone, and then he gets to come back and have a thriving business.
Yeah, that's the plan, man.
That's cool. So Bin Blasters is your main focus right now?
Totally.
And that's pretty awesome because your audience is every home in St. George.
I mean, right before. So the reason why I was late today is because I was out canvassing people's garbage cans. I literally was walking for the past 2.5 hours, slapping stickers on people's cans, and it says, "Hey, your neighbors just got their cans blasted. We'll be in your neighborhood next week. Give us a call."
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I was literally just taking like a 3-mile run, just slapping all these stickers on people's houses. Justin Prince's neighborhood, actually. So.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so let's talk some more about your backstory. So I know from listening to the podcast that you had some heart issues in your childhood, and that's what was really interesting to me. I'd love to hear that story. I only got just a snippet of it from Solid, so I'm really going to hear it for the first time.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so I guess to start, I remember I was sitting in class. I was a sophomore in high school. Desert Hills High School. And I was sitting here just like this, and I dropped my pencil on the ground, and I bent over to pick it up, and my heart started to flutter like super, super fast, like crazy, crazy fast. And I thought, dang, that was weird. It lasted for like 8 seconds. I had a cough to make it stop. I about passed out.
Did you kind of panic from that?
Yeah, I was like, what in the world was that? Never had happened before.
Yeah.
And so I wait a day, and it happens again the next day after I bend over again.
Did you talk to anyone about it, like a friend or your parents?
Yeah, so I talked to my mom that night because I tracked it. I thought my mind was just tripping, like, what's going on? I was tired or something.
Yeah.
But I was actually wearing my Apple Watch, and I tracked it, my heart rate, and it went from 60 beats per minute just sitting there to 220 beats per minute.
Wow.
Within a snap of a finger, like that.
That had to be terrifying.
Yeah, dude. When I saw that number, I was like, oh my gosh, something's not right. And so that kept happening like 5 or 6 times a day after that. And so my parents said, okay, we got to get you to see a doctor. I go and see a doctor, and they said that they did some tests. They actually had me wear a monitor on my chest so that they could track it. Like I remember showing up for baseball tryouts with this little monitor on my chest. Dude.
Wow. I'm surprised you're even able to play sports.
Yeah. Dude, I was.
Like, seems like that could be, like, especially baseball, where like you could get hit in the chest, you know?
Yeah. I know, totally. But made it work. Like it's been such a blessing, man. It's really worked out.
Yeah.
And so so I go to the doctor, and they say, okay, the tests are back, and you have what's called Wolff-Parkinson's White syndrome. And it's a heart condition I was born with, where it's an extra electrical pathway in my heart that misfires.
And it just never showed up until that day in school.
Yeah. Isn't that weird?
Wow. Like, is that typical of that syndrome, that like you can go without any symptoms for such a long period of your life, and then just all of a sudden it shows up?
As far as I understand, usually it shows up even later in life for like 60 or 70-year-olds.
Oh, wow.
And so it's like, it's super rare for that, but even rarer for a younger kid to have it.
Interesting.
And so that was kind of the tough thing, because the doctors have never really worked on a younger kid like me with that.
Yeah.
And so what they did, they said, okay, we got to go in and burn the part of your heart that was misfiring so it'll stop and basically like reset.
Oh, that's terrifying.
Yeah. So I was like, what? Are you kidding me, man?
And you're 14?
Yeah, 14.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so they scheduled the surgery, and I go in to have it. Everything went great. It was awesome. It's interesting how they do the surgery. They went up through so luckily it wasn't like open heart surgery.
Oh, I was just going to ask, did they have to cut your chest open?
So actually they went through my legs, like the veins in my legs, all the way up.
Wow, that's remarkable.
To my chest. Yeah.
That's
and
crazy.
They just burned the part of my heart that needed to be fixed. So they did that, and recovery was like 2 or 3 weeks, just like laying in my bed, like not doing much. It was tough because my body was just dead. And
How interesting.
So I recovered, and I was fine, doing great. Life was good. Finished the baseball season, and then that summer got into golf, man. So I tried out for the golf team.
Okay.
Made the team.
Are you still a golfer?
Oh, yeah, dude.
Love golf.
Huge golfer.
Love it.
Yeah, and so I went and made the team, and
so now this is your junior year in high school.
Yeah, going into my junior year.
Okay.
Or I might have been sophomore. I might be a year ahead, but anyways, I made the team, and that next day my heartbeat came back, the weird flutter, and I was like, no way.
And you knew.
Yeah, I was like, this is just no way. At that point, I was like frustrated with God. It's like, are you kidding me? Like, I've already had this surgery. Like, I'm doing great.
You paid your dues.
Yeah. It's like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Because I had just made the team. Everything was going good. But I knew that I probably needed surgery again And so I went to the doctor and they said, yeah, we got to have surgery. We didn't quite get it.
Okay, so that's what
time.
it was. It's just you didn't get all of it the first time.
So they
Wow.
they schedule, because once again, they're not used to working on younger kids with this condition. And so they wheel me in again and perform the surgery.
Were you more scared the second time because you'd been through it once, or did that give you more confidence?
More confidence.
Okay,
like
so you were less scared the second time.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as I thought. Like, the first time I was freaking out. Like,
of course.
Oh my gosh. Like,
absolutely.
Messing with my heart. So I go.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. So I go in for the second time. They wheel me in, do the surgery, and wheel me back out. At this point, I'm like high on these drugs, man. I don't even remember much.
Yeah.
The only thing I remember is eating Honolulu Grill, favorite restaurant here in St. George.
Good plug for Honolulu Grill. It is delicious.
Yeah.
It's the only macaroni salad I like.
Yeah. Oh, totally. So good. And so I'm just eating this Honolulu Grill, and I remember the doctors come in and they're like, okay, we're going to do some tests to see if we're all good, and we'll send you home here in a couple of days. And they did the test, and they're like, oh, shoot, like you still have the irregular beat.
No.
I was like, what do you mean, man? You just worked on me for the second time. Like, what are you doing?
Oh, my God. And this all in St. George?
Yeah. Yeah. And so I was pissed. I was like, what's going on? And I was still kind of out of it. But the doctors were amazing at Intermountain Healthcare, just absolutely amazing. And it was funny because I kind of got to know them pretty well. And somehow they must have heard that I loved old school rap music. They must have asked me that when I was under these drugs. Man.
Sure.
They knew. And so they wheeled me in for this third surgery. And as I'm going into the room, they have It Was a Good Day by Ice Cube playing, like full blast, dude,
That's
with
awesome.
all these doctors and nurses in there, like just
That's great.
partying, dap me up.
Just trying to get your energy up.
Yeah, dude. So I felt
wonderful.
like a king. It almost felt like a walk-up song.
Yeah,
for
right,
baseball,
exactly.
You know, they're playing
Yeah.
It Was a Good Day. So sick. And so, yeah, super tight with the doctors at this point. And then they put me under again for the third surgery. This is the same day, too.
Wow.
Same exact day. Surgery number 3. And so they do the surgery. They said, okay, looks great. We did the test. It's gone. And so that was the summer of my sophomore year going into my junior year.
Okay.
So the recovery was once again like 2 or 3 weeks. And at this point, dude, I was laying in bed and I was like, what could I do to make this time productive? Because I was always go, go, go running these businesses.
Yeah. Now you're just bedridden.
And so I was like, well, habits of highly successful people have always been interesting to me. Morning routines, what people do differently that achieve success and achieve their goals. Like I've read all kinds of books about that. And so I thought, how can I meet with those type of people and how can I share their wisdom?
Yeah. What's your favorite of those books?
Number 1?
Yeah.
Dude, what's funny is number 3 is 5 a.m. Club. I know you were talking about that.
I love 5 a.m.
Absolutely.
Club.
We'll have to talk more about that.
Yeah.
That's how I structure my morning.
Okay,
around
yeah.
that. Number 1, Obstacles the Way.
Is that Ryan
Holiday?
Oh, yep. I've not read that yet, but it's on my list.
So
Stoic.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it is so, so good. And I'll talk more about that. Why I believe that any obstacle we have in life can be turned into an opportunity.
What's funny is one of the chapters in my book is obstacles or opportunity.
Dude.
What's funny is I'd never read any of Ryan's stuff.
No way.
And a friend of mine was like telling me about him. I'm like, dude, you got to read his books. And he was like sharing all of like the concepts. And I was like, oh, wow. Like that's what's in my book, you know? And it's so interesting because, I'd never even come across his content before, but I obviously have the exact same.
Yeah. It's a true
thought that he
principle.
does. Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's what I had that same mindset. I was like, how can I turn this obstacle that I have, this heart surgery, recovering from this, into an opportunity? Because the way I like to think about it is this concept of being anti-fragile, right? So if you envision a box, if I'm holding a box right here, a little Amazon box, and if it was labeled as fragile, if that box could speak, it might say, handle me with care. Don't move me around me because I'll break. I'll shatter. Like just don't move me.
You're going to treat the box differently.
Yep, you will, right? Now, I want you to envision the opposite. If a box right here was labeled as anti-fragile, if it could speak, what might it say?
Do whatever you want.
Exactly. Kick me around, throw me around, because the more you do, the stronger I get. Not only that, I want you to do that because I understand that my infinite potential lies just outside my comfort zone. And by you moving me around, I'm getting into my, I'm getting outside of my comfort zone.
The only way to grow is to be uncomfortable.
Totally. Dude, it's simple, right?
Yeah.
And so I've always tried to keep that mindset. Okay, like we have all kinds of obstacles in our life, and we have 2 ways to respond. Are we going to be fragile, or are we going to be anti-fragile? Or are we going to use it as fuel for our growth? Like, I like to think of it as a candle. Like if I'm holding a candlestick right here in my hand and it's lit and the wind comes to this candle, it'll extinguish it, right? But if I take that same fire and it's a bonfire, and that same wind comes, it ignites it, it fuels it, and it grows and it grows. It's that same external force, but a different reaction. Right. One is a victor of its circumstance, and the other is a victor or a victim.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right?
You can't be a victim.
Yeah.
You'll never succeed if you are.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I had a big background in sales, and the difference between the successful people and the unsuccessful people was how they handled opportunities, right? And the ones who would always blame an outside force, it's slow, this isn't a good location, our prices aren't good, our inventory's not good, they would never succeed because the obstacle is always something outside of themselves, right? And so it's like, well, if you're saying the price is a problem, I can't help you with that, because what you're saying is I'm perfect in my sales pitch, I'm flawless. However, there's an issue with the price. The successful person doesn't find that. What they say is like, okay, I didn't come in mentally ready today, I didn't do my morning routine, like I was a little bit off, that's why I had a bad day. So then you know, okay, these are the things I can change within myself to be better tomorrow. But if it's something outside of you, then you've removed responsibility from yourself, and therefore you can't progress.
Yeah, you're not taking that extreme ownership, right? I mean, you're just being a victim of your circumstance.
Absolutely.
Right? And so I'm a firm believer of that we can turn any obstacle into an opportunity, right? So that's what I try to do, or it's really when I learned it after these heart surgeries, while I was recovering after the third one. So I'm laying in bed, wanting to learn more about these successful people and emulate their behavior and share it with others. So I thought, let's start a podcast.
Because you don't got to recreate the wheel. Someone already figured it out.
Yeah, exactly. So I started a podcast because I thought I can use that in a way as an excuse to meet with people, to sit down, to understand what they've done to become successful, and then share that with other kids my age and other people. Yeah. And so it's called The Psychology of Success.
Awesome name.
Right? Because I've always been interested in like the mindsets and habits and all this stuff. It's all in your mind, right? Your thoughts are very powerful.
It's the most powerful thing that exists, right? Whatever our mind believes is true is true.
Yep. Whatever the mind can conceive, it can achieve, is what I like to say. And so I went into the podcast with that mindset, the psychology of success. Okay, what do people do that are successful differently? Yeah. And so I remember laying in bed and I just watched YouTube videos, man. Like, how do I start a podcast? And I found out.
I was going to ask if that's how you figured out how to do it.
Yeah, dude, I did.
That's
literally
great.
Googled it. University of YouTube.
I love that.
It's all I need. And so I found that I can do it through Anchor. It's this platform. You can do it for free. It's super simple. Just typed in the name, clicked enter, and it took like 3 weeks to get it published. And now it just sends to all these different podcast platforms. And so that was, and I think 2019 or 2018.
And are you still doing it?
Yeah.
You are? So what do you do in your mission? You just paused it?
Yeah. So paused it. That was so hard to do, man.
Yeah, I bet.
Because the last episode, I was getting some good views. I had like 1,100 views.
Wow.
So that was the 34th episode, and got home, and now I've started it back up again. But like at the beginning, dude, I literally just used my phone. Like if we were doing an interview, I just tossed my phone on the table, clicked play, and said, okay, let's go.
That's
Isn't that crazy?
You asked about this podcast, and the other one I do is Virtual GM, which is for Vibrant Management, and it's our hospitality podcast. And we went to this video conference last year to like figure out like, okay, how do you really grow with video? You know, like I didn't grow up with social media like you did, you know, and I'd never even really cared for it. So it's like, that was not a space that I was in, but I understood like, this is where the eyeballs are. How do we get where the eyeballs are? How do we entice the eyeballs? And so the whole premise of this conference was just press record, right? So it's like, don't try and have everything be perfect before you start. Just literally do what you did. Put your phone down and record it. So we started our podcast, Virtual GM, also on our cell phones, like just on a little tripod in front of us, like hit record. And so like our YouTube videos are just made on a cell phone, no microphones, no speakers, no mastering, no nothing. And now we're in a studio and we're actually doing the podcast, but we would have never got to the studio. How do we not just press record in the beginning?
I love it. It's just doing it and figuring it out as you go. Like a mantra I live by is ready, fire, aim. Yeah. Right? Just get going.
Absolutely.
And as
the key is to start.
Yeah, just fire away, and as you're going, aim. Yeah. So that's what I did. I used my phone and just recorded. Met with 34 different people. And now since I've been back, I actually have a studio that I record in where we get video and we make TikToks and all kinds of stuff. We have sponsors. But it just started from using my phone. And it was tough. Like, yeah, I made some mistakes. Like Jefferson Rogers, for example, I interviewed him my last episode right before the mission with my phone, right?
Yeah.
And we ended the episode and I went to go publish it, but I lost all the audio. And then I left on my mission like a week later.
Yeah.
And so I was so frustrated.
Yeah, we did that. We've like recorded on our phone. In fact, we're like, let's get a camera because then that'll be better. So we spent like $500 on a nice camera and started recording, did the whole episode, and then the camera stopped at 15 minutes.
Oh,
and so we're like, oh my gosh, like so deflated, you know, because like we just had this great episode and now it's gone. And so, yeah, so much trial and error. So but again, that's how you learn.
So you know how it feels. So luckily we were able to have Jefferson on again, last week.
Nice.
And so, but it's just cool seeing the progress. It's just getting out and doing it.
So you said so do you do it with your brother?
So at first it was just me that did it.
Yeah.
And I got it rolling. And since I've been back, I brought on a business partner, my friend Jackson Turley, that does some bin blaster stuff with me.
Oh, cool.
So he does all the graphics and all the editing and the TikTok reels, all that stuff.
Cool. And then you're the host. You're having the interview.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So I started that while I was just laying in bed after heart surgery and did it for a while. So back to the story, like my junior year, doing great, man, playing baseball, varsity baseball junior year. And then I was like midway through the school year and this flipping heartbeat comes back again. This was like 7 months after.
Oh man, that had to be such a struggle
surgery.
Mentally. Cause you're just like,
I was so pissed.
Yeah.
Cause like I'm in the zone with business, with school, with baseball, like just doing great. You know, life was good.
Yeah.
And I get another roadblock. And so,
and that's remarkable that you had so much adversity and you're not even a senior in high school yet, you know? And what's interesting is that there's people who will look at other people's success and it's like, oh, they're just so lucky. Like someone who doesn't know your backstory and is like, this young kid already got this bin blasters company. Like he's so lucky. It's like, oh, trust me.
This is the podcast.
Yeah.
Bro.
Trust me. You know, like it took four heart surgeries to get to this point, not to mention all the other hard work and things that I had to overcome, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think you have to be so cautious to look at success with envy because you never understand the journey it took someone to get where they are. And if you did, oftentimes you'd say like, oh, actually, I don't want that. You know, someone who sees your business and says, oh, I wish I was doing what Kaden's doing. It's like, if you knew all the hard work it took to put in it, you may not feel the same way, you know? So you got to define it for yourself. Okay, so keep going. So then you get another irregular heartbeat. You're a junior in high school.
Junior in high school. And so the doctor's like, okay, we're going to have a different doctor try it. Round 4.
Still through the leg?
Yeah, still through the leg.
Okay.
Which is like crazy, like if you think about it.
Yeah.
The way they explain it, it's like playing a video game. Like they just
you're just watching
TV
it like
this
move
and they
through your
control
veins.
it.
Yeah.
Luckily I'm out, dude. Like just out cold. I didn't see any of it.
I
was awake for the music, of course, so then they knocked me out.
Right.
And so so I go in for the 4th surgery and it was great. This was my junior year. I ended up having no problems all my senior year. Still was able to play baseball. Did pretty well too. I was first team All-State pitcher.
Wow.
Left-handed.
Good for you.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. And then I left for my mission that summer of 21. And then I leave on my mission and I was out. So as missionaries, we usually serve for 2 years. That's what it's anticipated for.
Yeah.
But I hit my 18, 19 month mark and these weird beats came back.
Oh my gosh.
So I was like, what in the world, man? I've had 4 surgeries. I've been fine for 2 years.
Yeah.
Right. What is going on? And so it was kind of a scare. Like my mom came out and we had some doctor's appointments.
Yeah, I was going to ask, was it scary when it came back again? Or
Yeah,
at this point,
dude.
are you kind of just like, this is just what it is?
Yeah, because I recognized it and I was like, dang, like this is similar to what I was having before.
Yeah.
So I kind of panicked, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because now you're away from your parents. You're in a city you're not familiar with. You don't know the doctors.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I loved what I was doing as a missionary, man. I found so much purpose and happiness every single day. And so I was just in the zone. And for that to come up, I knew that something was going to change and I might have to go home. So I went to the...
Wow, that's interesting. So I'd imagine, I don't know, I've never done it, but I'd imagine that most young boys, men, are so excited for their mission to be over. But you looked at it as like, I don't want this thing to end prematurely.
No.
Wow, how interesting.
So here's another mantra I live by. It's called memento mori. So memento mori is Latin for remember death. So for me, that inspires me. For example, with my mission, I'd always tell my roommate I was living with, or we call them companions, I'd always tell him, hey, like today could be your last day. Yeah, we're going to play basketball right now with some other guys, but you could tear your ACL and have to go home.
Yeah.
Right. And your missionary work could be gone like that. You only get to serve as a young missionary once in your life. Right?
Yeah.
When you're 18, 19. So I said, treat today as a gift from God, because it literally is. Like, you don't know if it could be your last as a missionary. And I tell him, memento mori.
Yeah.
So we had this little shoehorn. A shoehorn, for the listeners that don't know, it's a little metal piece that helps you put on dress shoes. It's a
That's
missionary
funny
thing,
because
dude.
I didn't want to ask, but I was like, I don't know what a shoehorn.
Yeah. So we'd have this shoehorn hanging on our door, and every time we tap it, and because it said memento mori on it, I wrote it with a Sharpie.
Okay.
And it was a reminder that, hey, today could be your last day. Give it your all.
Yeah, it's important to be present.
And so I told that to all these missionaries, but it was incredible because then it actually happened to me.
Yeah,
At
right.
18 months, I had to go home for my heart stuff because, I just came up and it was gone like that, snap of a finger. Did not expect it to happen. And so now I take that mindset with life. I have a mentor of mine, Justin Keat, that taught me the mental memory concept.
Yeah.
He gave me this old German painting of a skeleton. We'll have to show it for the listeners, but this skeleton, what it is, it symbolizes like the angel of death. So it just symbolizes death.
Okay.
And what he's doing, he has a bow and arrow and he's aiming it right at your face. So if you're looking at the painting, it's aimed right at you.
Yeah.
And then he has a little thing on his back with another arrow, and there's an arrow broken on the ground. Right? So the arrow that's pointing at you.
Yeah.
My mentor translated it for me because he actually served his mission in Germany.
Oh, that's
It's
cool.
written in German. And so the one that's pointing at you, the arrow says today. And then the arrow that he has on his back says tomorrow. And the arrow that's on the ground, it's broken and it says yesterday. So basically it's symbolic saying, hey, yesterday death could have gotten you, but the arrow broke.
Yeah.
So you're still alive.
Right.
Today it's aiming right at you.
Yeah, every day is a new journey.
Dude, I wake up and I have that painting looking right at me.
I love that.
Dude, it's aiming at you. I had it in Seattle too.
Yeah, I
for
love
all
that.
my missionary buddies to see. And then if it doesn't get you today, tomorrow, it's got another arrow.
Yeah, and that's got a different meaning for you because you've already like experienced some of that fear, right?
Yeah. No, for real.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people can think that's depressing, like, oh, like we're all going to die. But for me, it's inspiring.
It's also
and
reality.
motivating. It is. Yeah.
Like there's no getting around it. That's the one thing that's definitive.
Dude, I'm telling you, if you go with that mindset every day, it'll beat procrastination. It'll beat laziness, anything.
Yeah, I just saw a great video yesterday about this guy talking about his kids and the challenges of kids, right? And so I've got 2 little kids, and my son is the prototypical little boy who doesn't listen and is wild, So at times you can get frustrated because it's like, oh, just do the thing I want you to do in the way I want you to do it. And in this video, it said, when that moment happens, think to being 80 and that moment is gone, right? Like your kid's full grown. You can't go back there. Like at 80 years old, you'd give anything to go back to your child being 6 and having that moment with him. And if you treat that moment that way, it's going to make everything so much easier because your frustration level is going to dissipate because you're no longer frustrated. You're thankful.
It's deep,
same
man.
moment, different perspective.
Yeah. It's crazy the difference it makes.
Yeah. I love that. So did you have to have surgery then again?
Yeah. Yeah. So I went in for that fourth
so mission
surgery.
ends early. Did you come back to St. George for surgery?
Okay. So I had the 4th surgery in St. George, right?
Yeah.
And then I was fine my senior year, left on my mission.
Right.
Saw doctors there, and they told me, hey, you need to go home and get tested some more. So I came home to
So the
St.
mission was
George.
officially over then?
Yep. So it was over. And then I got here, visited with some doctors. They had me wear the monitor again. But at this point, technology had advanced in just 3-4 years to where it was just like this little button they put on my chest.
Oh, wow.
So cool. And whenever I had a weird beat, I'd just push it. And so I wore that for a while. And they said, yeah, we see the weird beats, but you don't need surgery again. It's not serious enough.
Okay.
They said it's just something that you have to deal with the rest of your life, these weird
So you just
beats.
have to be like aware of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so luckily
when it happens, is there something you need to do to like a breathing exercise to get your heart back, or does it just go back on its own?
It just goes back on its own because it's been fixed, but it catches me off guard, dude. It almost feels like a little shock in my chest.
Yeah,
it's
and probably
weird.
scary every time.
Yeah, every time I work out, like I was lifting this morning at Summit, and it just happens randomly, just like a little shock in my chest. But they said it's because I've had those in the past, my brain recognizes it, but it's not serious.
So you said earlier in the podcast that it was a blessing. And so can you elaborate on how that for you was a blessing?
The heart stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, it's been a blessing because I've realized like how short life is,
Yeah.
right? And how aware God is of us.
Yeah.
I've seen his hand so many different times in my life, especially with my heart stuff.
I was going to ask, I'm not a religious person, but I was curious if your heart stuff made you have less faith in God or more faith.
More, dude. In the moment, dude, I was more I didn't necessarily have less faith, but I was more frustrated. But now looking back, I see the miracles in his hand in my life.
Yeah.
That I have even more faith.
Because I wondered if perhaps like that struggle would make you not want to go on a mission because you're like so frustrated with all of these health issues that it may make you want to be like, no, I'm not doing that. Mm-hmm. Like he's always given me his obstacles, right? But of course, because of the way that you see it, you're looking at it as he created opportunities.
Yeah, and that's why he gives us the obstacles, right?
Yeah.
So that we can turn them into opportunities for growth, so that we can use that as fuel to our fire, right? Because I believe that's why we're here, to grow and to reach our infinite potential, right? That's what my podcast is all about, is helping young hustlers actualize their infinite potential, because we all have that within us. It's interesting. Like everyone is chasing happiness and chasing to become their best self innately. We all have that. And it lies just outside of our comfort zone. So I'm trying to do everything I can to get out, just barely.
And it's always going to be outside the comfort zone.
Yeah.
Because once you become comfortable with something, the next thing will be outside of that space that you can easily attain.
Yeah. And so I've learned that about God. That's why he gives me all these challenges, because it pushes me outside my comfort zone to where I can grow.
I love that.
And then share my story with others.
So let's go back to the books really quick. So you said number 1 is Obstacles the Way. Okay. Number 3 was the 5 a.m. Club.
Yeah.
So what's number 2?
Yeah. So number 2, I'd have to say, dude, it's hard. I have my list on my phone.
Oh, you actually have a list?
Yeah.
Pull it up.
Yeah,
Let's see it.
Pull it up.
I want to see this list.
So top 10, because I'm guessing you're a huge reader too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Very avid reader.
Yeah. So 5 a.m. Club, dude, changed my life.
And it's written in so well because it's written in a story, so it really engages you. And the premise is so important, you know. And it's true. Like when I actually win the morning and I get up and I do those activities, and I've changed it a little bit now. I did his routine for a while, but now I do my own version of it.
I did the same thing.
But man, my days are so much better because, you know, if I do it and I get up and I do 5:40, I don't do 5, but when I get up at 5:40, even 3 hours from then is 8:40. Most jobs start at 9, right? So it's like I already have a 3-hour head start on you. You can't catch me because I'm so far into the race already, you know. So let's hear the list.
And by doing that, like I could talk about morning routines so much, but when I start my morning winning, like I say, winning the morning, win the morning, win the day. Because I feel like if I do the fundamentals in the morning, I'm on offense. My day isn't happening to me, but happening for me.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
And you've already set this intention and you've got this momentum working in your favor. So like you're not going to get up and do all that morning routine and then make a bad, poor habit decision later because the momentum's already going.
You're already being intentional.
But if you do sleep in and don't do it, then you're like, well, I guess today's like an off day.
Yeah,
you know,
it's a huge difference,
and you
man.
make that excuse for yourself. Let's see, I can't wait to hear your top 10. Let's see what you got.
So number 1, Obstacles the Way. Number 2, so it's actually 5 a.m. Club. Number 2.
Okay.
Number 3 is Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's what got me into business. I actually read that laying in bed after my first heart surgery.
Such a good concept.
My dad just gave it to me.
Some people hate on the book, but it's like, I love it.
No,
I love the story of it. You know what I mean? It's a great book.
And then number 4, Can't Hurt Me. Number 5, The Continuous Atonement. It's a book about Jesus Christ. And then number 6, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
That's the one book I'll read more than once. Trying to read that one every year.
Dude, if you saw mine, I have it, because what I do, I tag, like, if I read a book, I'll highlight it and then put
so you are a highlighter.
Because then I can reread. Like I reread that book all the time.
You're just catching the things that point out
the golden nuggets.
I love that. Yeah, I got to do a better job of that.
Yeah, because it's quicker. So you can see I've got tons of tabs on that one. 7, Why A students work for C students. This is a funny one.
Oh, I got to write that down.
It's by Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad. But it just talks about kind of the school system and how it's more catered towards creating employees.
That's what school is created for. College was created because we had child workforce, and they created college so that child workforce could become more educated and be better workers. They didn't create it to create leaders. They created it to create workers.
Dude, I remember I was reading this book one time in class, and the title, Why A Students Work for C Students, was just sitting on my desk. And I left to go to the bathroom. And I came back and the teacher had flipped it upside down, my book. It was so funny.
That's great.
Yeah. But anyways.
What's next?
Shoe Dog.
I love Shoe Dog. I just had my wife read that and she crushed it in like 3 days because it was so good.
Yeah, it's so entertaining.
Such a great book.
Number 9, start something that matters. It's the story of
I haven't
Tom's
heard that.
shoes.
Oh,
It's basically
cool.
the whole concept of like creating a business model where you can give back.
Yeah, I
they
love
donate
that.
a pair of shoes. And then number 10, living with a seal.
Oh, I love living with the seal. Oh
Yeah,
my
Jesse
gosh, it
Whistler
was
and
so
David Goggins.
enjoyable.
Yeah, it's so
That's
funny.
Such a I laughed out loud for real. That's a great book. Have you read David Goggins' new one? Never finished.
No, I
It's
want
good.
to.
I actually, out of all of them, Living with the Seal is actually my favorite.
Yeah.
It's the most enjoyable. Yeah, it's such a fun book to read.
Totally.
Have you ever read any of Malcolm Gladwell's books?
I haven't. I've heard of them though.
You need to jump on that train because, like with psychology, it's all about psychology. So I'd start with Outliers. That's probably my second favorite book. Alchemist being the first.
Okay.
Outliers is amazing. It's like that's your homework on this one. Get into Malcolm Gladwell. Every book he's written is incredible.
Totally.
And it's all in your premise. Like it's just right up your alley. So we've got a few more minutes before we wrap up. I want to ask you some questions. You already talked about mentors. So obviously you believe mentors are an important thing in your life.
big.
And you kind of shared a couple different ones. Your dad and then the gentleman who
Justin Keep. Yeah,
Justin
who
Keep,
actually
yeah.
was my high school principal.
Oh, wow.
And it's funny how I met him because he saw an ad for my Tacoma and he wanted to message me on Facebook and he saw that I was a student. And then he saw my profile and saw that I had a podcast and all these different things.
Yeah.
He was like, dude, this kid's hustling. And so he went to my class and like checked me out and walked me down to his office because he's huge on self-development. Like he has his own little software company that he just started.
How cool is
Total
that?
entrepreneur. Super big on all this stuff. So we did a thing where we'd each read books each week and we'd meet in his office and just talk about it.
I love that. It's nice to hear that in the school system, someone's being creative and creating a path. That's great.
Very innovative. So Justin Keat has been a huge mentor of mine. My dad, Brent Bone, who owns like 40 or 50 McDonald's in Vegas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He's helped me a ton. Trevor Cowley with the Real Business Owners. I
Yeah,
think is
Trevor's
great.
awesome.
Quite a bit. Justin Prince. But yeah, dude, because the thing is like, for a lot of the younger kids out there, like it's kind of scary approaching people to ask for help.
Sure.
But what I found is people are more than willing to help, like more than willing.
That's the genius behind your podcast is it created a platform for you to say like, hey, we come have this conversation.
It's an excuse because I
build
can
those
pick their brain.
relationships. Right. Yeah. That's really cool. So next thing, biggest win in your life.
Biggest win. These are good questions. Honestly, I think the biggest win in my life was up to this point was my mission because
I thought that's what you'd say.
I saw so many people's lives completely change, like just completely take a 180.
Yeah.
And I was the happiest. I had the most fulfillment in my life ever. Serving.
That's awesome.
And I've tried to bring that home, but it's not quite the same. But dude, every day it's so
Because you had a
so
real
hard.
purpose.
Yeah. Our purpose was to bring other people under Jesus Christ. Simple as that. And so by doing that, dude, I saw so many miracles of people that were really struggling, and we'd pray for specific things to happen, and those specific things would happen that day over and over again. Like, for example, for some reason, we really wanted to get into this complex, apartment complex, but it was always locked. But we had this impression that we really, really wanted to get in there, that someone needed us. And somehow we got in, like someone just let us in, like recognized us and said, yeah, like come talk to my neighbors.
Yeah.
And so we started knocking doors. And that morning we were praying. In fact, we sent a text to our little congregation, said, hey, like pray that we can get into this complex because we feel like there's someone here that needs us.
Yeah.
And so we get into the complex and we're trying to find this person because we knew they were there. Like God, we just kept on having this
You're
feeling.
compelled to go help somebody.
And so we knocked on the second door and this dude, we start sharing more about our beliefs. And then he just starts to break down crying.
Wow.
And we're like, you okay? Like, what's going on? Because we were talking about God and how he can really help him in his life. And he was just like, you guys would not believe this, but literally as you knocked on the door, I was on the phone with a suicide hotline. I was about to kill myself.
Wow.
But you guys knocked on my door and you're telling me that God loves me and that I am his literal child. And he was just breaking down.
Wow, it gave me
like,
goosebumps.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah, that's amazing.
And so every day, like they weren't quite that drastic.
Of course, yeah.
But every day I saw God's hand changing his kids' lives.
Well, and like I said, so I'm not a religious person, but I do believe in intention in the universe, right? And when you put things out there with intention, then it will come to fruition, right? So if you're intently focused on anything in your life happening. In this instance for you, is praying to get in that building. But I believe that same concept is true if you're just putting a focused intention on something you hope to achieve. Then the universe wants all of us to succeed, and the universe can be your word for everything you believe in. For you, it's God. But when you do that, the universe wants to provide us with the opportunities that we seek if we're willing to put in the work. And when you are, I believe that every single time you're going to achieve what you want. So that's a great. I'm so glad that I asked that question, because it would have been a shame to not have that story shared. Now the next one is your biggest loss.
Biggest loss. I'd say
That Tacoma.
yeah, I
Or the
was going
Tundra.
to say the Tundra.
Yeah.
Because like it was just detrimental when
Yeah.
I was that young.
Sure.
Because we were doing good and I just lost so much money. Like a lot of my net worth was
Yeah.
gone in that Tundra.
Right.
And so that was just such a big hit, man.
Right. I love that too, because I think it's important for the audience to know that even your biggest loss, once you get far enough away from it, becomes a catalyst for success.
Totally.
Right. And so even though in that moment it can be devastating and be so frustrating, and you feel like at times I'm never going to get over this like bad decision, everything with time becomes a positive, right? Like there's not many things in our life that you would look back on that in the moment you hated. And if you look back on it, would say, oh, I wish I could go back in time and change that. Almost always, you, even like for you with your heart stuff, it's not like now, as the young man that you are, you'd say, I wish I could not have that happen to my heart, because that created who you are today, right?
And without the heart stuff, I would have never started my podcast. And I probably wouldn't be talking to you.
You wouldn't have built
now.
all those relationships.
Isn't that
Absolutely.
crazy?
So
Yeah.
that's why I think it's so important, because you can really only measure success backwards. And so really understand and live intentionally, presently in the moment, to know that you will get through everything. And as you look back, you'll be thankful for everything that happened. So that's a great one. The last one, routine. So you kind of talked about it. Let's talk about your morning routine really quick.
It's so good. So now being like kind of in the college life, well, I'm not going to college, probably won't at all.
But you're in the college time of your life.
Yeah, exactly. And so my friends stay up late. So it's harder like during the week, but the picture perfect day and when I'm the most effective, it starts with my PM. I call it my AM and PM bookends, because I can control this side of my life and this side of my life, the AM and PM. Those don't move around, but the middle, it's the whirlwind.
Yeah.
Like I like to call it. And so a good morning starts with a good night. So at night, I do what's called a digital sunset at 9:00, where I turn off my phone. It goes into airplane mode. I'm done.
Yeah.
So that I can get to bed by 10 and get good sleep. I try and get 8.5 hours. That's like the Goldilocks zone for me.
Yeah.
And then I wake up. I don't quite wake up at 5 anymore because I'm up late most of the time with friends. But I like to wake up at 6, go straight. I'll pray and then go straight to the gym for an hour. And then I get back and I'll do like a short meditation, whether it's like the Calm app or Wim Hof. Yeah. I've done that quite a bit.
You should try the 6-phase meditation. It's a guided meditation for 18 minutes with Vish and Lakhani. It's awesome. That's the one I do in the morning. Just give it a try.
Yeah, I will. Totally.
Yeah.
I'll look it up. 6-phase meditation.
He's got some great books too, like Code the Extraordinary Mind, Buddha and the Badass. He's got some great books. So yeah, get into that.
Yeah, I'm going to check it out. So I'll meditate and then I'll sit down and I'll study my scriptures, the Bible, the Book of Mormon, and just kind of get that spiritual side.
Yeah.
And connect with God for about 20 minutes. And then after that, I write down my top 10 goals for the year every single day.
Okay.
I'm not perfect at it.
Yeah.
But my intention is to do it every day.
And are the goals usually the same or do they change?
They're usually the same, but I'll kind of tweak them throughout the year.
Based on what's happening.
And I write them in present tense, right? Because if I write them in the future and I say, I want to buy a hydro flask, for example, I'm always reaching for the future. But if I say I have a hydro flask, then it's present. Yeah. And my mind,
love that.
My subconscious mind is going to have me do the actions that would line up with me having a hydro flask right now or earning $1 million. I'm going to be that person right now rather than future.
So
out, right?
Talking about the subconscious mind, I love that because a big part of winning the moment is getting ourselves conscious, right? Because our subconscious drives so much of what we do. And so we're not really even consciously making those decisions. So one of Malcolm Gladwell's books is called Blink, and it's all about the subconscious. And so if you find that interesting,
I'm going to read it.
Jump on that.
Okay. Yeah. So I write out my goals and then I'm very intentional with my time. And so I for about 5 minutes, I'll plan my day. So I use Google Calendar and I have these, I call them deep work time blocks. They're 90 minutes. So I like to work. It's called like the, I think
a sprint.
Robin Sharma. A sprint where it's like the 90-20 rule.
Yeah.
Or 60-10 rule.
Yeah, where you put that intentional work, give yourself a break.
So I do that. I have 3 deep work time blocks for 90 minutes, and I'll take a 30-minute break. So 90 on, 20, 30 minutes off.
Yeah.
Like full blown 90 minutes, phone off,
uninterrupted.
Deep
Yeah,
work.
right. You accomplish so much more. You probably accomplish more in those 90 minutes than a regular person does in 8 hours because they're checking their phone, they're having conversations.
BS.
Yeah.
You don't go deep. It's surface level work, but I'm trying to go deep. No distractions.
Yeah.
And so in that morning time, I plan exactly what I'm going to do during those times, right? And I know what I'm going to do because on Sundays, I'll plan my whole week. And once again, I learned this from being a missionary.
Yeah, that's
we would
cool.
plan our whole week and
such
plan our
good
day
principles
and set
from
goals.
that. Yeah.
So I'll plan my whole week on Sundays, and then using like the tasks that I have from Sunday that I've thought about, I'll just implement them each day to wherever I see fit. So I'll do that. And then since I'm not going to college, I dedicate. So I have my whole routine up until 9 a.m.
Yeah.
And then from 9 to 10, you'll see in my calendar, it just says learning. And so
Love
I'll
that.
either take like an online course or
Is that
read.
from 5 a.m. Club? Is that what inspired you to like have that time to learn every day?
Yeah, to be intentional. Yeah, exactly. And then I'll start work at 10 a.m. and just grind from there.
That's awesome. I love that. It's funny. You actually preface it in the exact same way that I do. Like I have to win my night in order to win my morning. Because if my habits are poor in the evening, then I've already lost the next morning because I know I'm not going to be able to do what I need to do.
Then you're on defense, man.
Yeah.
The day's happening to you. You're not in control. I hate that feeling.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. Okay, so the last question I'll ask you, this to me is the most important one, but how do you define success?
How do I define success? I think success can mean a lot of different things for different people. For me, it's winning in all areas of your life, right? Because I've interviewed a lot of different people and been able to kind of learn and see, okay, like, yeah, they're killing in business, but their family life is just down the drain, or their spiritual life is down the drain. And so success for me is winning in all areas of your life, mentally, physically, spiritually, in business, with your family. And it's part of that is setting goals and achieving them. Yeah. But it's not necessarily achieving them, but it's the process and the
working towards them
you're becoming.
Yeah.
Right? It's a process. And so I think success is who we are becoming. It's becoming our infinite potential right now, because we all have a person that we could be
absolutely
right now. And so the game of success is being that person moment to moment to moment. That's how I'd define success.
Man, I love that. That's awesome. So how can people find you? We talked about bin blasters. We talked about psychology of success. What's the best way for people to find you if they want to learn more about you?
Yeah. So my niche is young hustlers, man. If you're young and you want to learn about business, please DM me. I'd love to help out. So on Instagram, it's at 11Kado, 11Kado. And you'll see my bin blaster stuff on there, the podcast. We do interviews every single week with people like Cody, where we just talk more about business and how you can start your own gig. But yeah.
That's awesome. Well, hey, thank you so much for being on. I absolutely love the podcast. You and I are super aligned, actually. And what's cool for listeners too is we didn't know each other, right?
No,
I did a story last week saying who wants to be in the podcast, and you said you did, and so here we are. And it's amazing how you can connect with people like that, and to find someone who we had no history with each other, and yet we are really approaching life in such a similar fashion, even though our belief system is completely different. I think that's what's so special about human connection. And I absolutely enjoyed this episode. So thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you.